Welcome to FightLine, brought to you in conjunction with Buy My Fight and Westbound Logistics Services. My name is Ben Doughty, and I'm delighted to be joined this week via the medium of Skype with former two-time heavyweight champion of the world, Terrible Tim Witherspoon. Can you hear me, Tim?
I can hear you loud and clear.
Wonderful. Listen, champ, it's great to see you again after a hiatus in contact. Now, I know in the aftermath of the Joshua-Ruiz rematch, I've seen a lot of very mixed reviews, with some in the mainstream media hailing Joshua's performance as a masterclass, and other people suggesting he ran like a thief, looked fragile as hell, and they feel very pessimistic about his chances going forward in the elite heavyweight mix-up with elite rivals like Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder. I know you had your share of criticism, and I want to give you an opportunity to talk to me about that. Go ahead.
Yeah, the criticism that first of all, I just want to say that I'm English American. In other words, I've been coming over to England. It's like my second family,
Yeah.
and I know a lot of people from north to south, east to west. I know a lot of people, and I've been a lot of places. I got a grandson over there, and my daughter's from Tottenham. So I kind of like got a good, not a good understanding, but a lot of understanding of how things work around, and over there,
Yeah.
because I can go over there and I know I feel like home at home. So when I talk about these boxers, I'm not down on them or anything. I'm just trying to put the right perspective in the right place on my opinion. And so you asked a question
So
about
you
Joshua.
didn't feel that Joshua was overly impressive. You saw a lot of shortcomings and things that you think he urgently needs to work on that he's not being
Yes,
taught. Talk to me.
yes. I met Joshua in a couple of events. He helped me on a train with my daughter. We talked on several different occasions. I felt he was a really nice guy, and he definitely needs some skills. Um, I think that um, I think that Eddie Hearns and his management and his promotion should recognize that. That's more important than what they're doing. See, they're
Come,
doing it. They're setting up fights. They're doing everything, but they're not really keying in on his skills and why are people criticizing him. Um, and so that's some of the things that promoters and managers should look at also in America. In America, that's what they do. If they look at their boxer and he's not really up to par and doing the right things, they'll figure it out. Even though they're doing business, Eddie Hearns and them is doing a real good business. But there's one little thing that they have to look at, and that's Anthony Joshua and what he needs.
but was
Uh,
it not an impressive performance in terms of switching a totally different game plan? You know, he was moving side to side. He didn't get involved. He was economical with his punches. He used the jab, and he also used. You'll understand this. He used the left hand as kind of a measuring stick to keep the distance, to stop Ruiz getting close to him. I know that Ruiz came in heavy and perhaps a little unmotivated. A lot of people were disappointed in Ruiz, but was it not? On the night, regardless of how you feel he's going to fare going forward against the likes of Wilder, Fury, or anybody else, was it not an impressive disciplined performance to move side to side like that, not get involved, and score a near shutout win on points?
well, in my opinion, and I've been doing this a long time, I think that the way he boxed, it looked to me like he did them movements because he didn't want to get hit. He didn't know how to block punches. It had something to do with his skills. And,
You've always said this, Tim. I mean, you and me have worked on
yeah,
boxing a little bit. You even did my corner in a little thing one time, and you've said a real true defensive master doesn't have to run to avoid punishment. Is that how you
exactly.
feel?
Because
Go on.
because he's comfortable that he can block his opponent's shots and don't get hit. That's how a lot of times when I got in the ring and lots of times when I enter into fights, I said, man, my greatest asset was I knew that my opponent couldn't hit me.
In a
And
pocket.
that gives you confidence. Oh yeah, that gives you a lot of confidence. You know that your opponent can hit you. So that's really a big part of in the game. So when I seen him moving around, that was out of I'm not gonna say fair, but it was out of him not really knowing how to block punches.
So
You know,
a lot of people said, some people said it was a fantastic performance and they were upbeat about it. Other people, including people from the boxing fraternity, not just armchair fans, they said it was kind of boring and you expect more from a world heavyweight championship fight. You expect ultimately more exchanges, more valor, more, I'm not going to say blood and guts, but you subscribe to that opinion, do you, Tim, that it was a little lackluster, a little boring, and you expect more at that level? True?
yeah. Well, me, I didn't expect more from him because I knew that he lacked the skills. I didn't
Did
expect.
you think he was going to win? Did you
Huh?
did you tip him to win, or did you think Ruiz was going to win again?
Well, I didn't select neither one because I knew of the skill level. I really wasn't going to vote for choose Ruiz or him. I just was going to see what the outcome of the fight was because they both um, lacked the skills that we had in our days. I didn't want to. Like people say, who should I bet on? Who should I bet? People from England call me, and I said, listen, I don't. This one could go either way. The skills about the same. I think Ruiz have just a little bit more than him, I couldn't choose anybody.
Talk to me about Ruiz, Tim. He's been roundly criticised and
Yeah.
slated even in some quarters for the shape he came in. We know he was never a body beautiful for a fact. And you made the point, you were never Mr. Black America yourself in terms of physique, but you knew how to fight, right? And that was important. You said if you looked at Frank Bruno when you guys fought at Wembley in 1986 on that historical evening, if you looked at the physical shape of yourself and you looked at the physical, Adonis condition of Frank Bruno, then that could be misleading if you didn't understand the sweet science. But Ruiz was criticised for not only, we know he wasn't going to come in with like a six-pack, but he was criticised because he came in even heavier than last time. Last time, I believe he weighed 267. This time he weighs 283. Okay, he was wearing shorts, a T-shirt, a vest and a sombrero. A lot of speculation about how much the hat weighed. But they say that Ruiz came in even worse shape. Would you criticise him on that account? Do you think he didn't really make the sacrifices in training?
Yeah, and I blame that on his management, his trainers, and all that for allowing him to do that. I think it was an embarrassment for him to have an opportunity like that when we didn't have opportunities to make money like that for such an easy fight that was in front of him.
Tim, he's already minted. He's already minted because of the money he made. I mean, he didn't get a small payday for the first fight on June the 1st. He got $13 million, it's widely reported, for this fight. But he could have been making in the realm of $50 million if he could have made that defence and done what he did last time. So that's a massive opportunity squandered, true?
Well, and experience on his management too. They're exposed. Really big because you're not supposed to let your boxer at this status and this level, and you're going to come in out of shape, and heavy. Well, maybe he was in shape, but he was heavy. But this like Joshua, Eddie Hearns and them should know exactly what he needs instead of all this talk about what he did. He did this, he did that. And they should key on that. So Andy Ruiz and their management is just as bad for not making sure he come in right. They should have been on top of him. It was like some kind of party.
Well, yes, exactly. I mean, did you, Tim? When you first won the first version of World Heavyweight Championship, when you beat Greg Page for the WBC vacant title in 1984, did it go to your head a little bit? The way you suddenly got people around you, you got women around you, you got some disposable cash. There's limos. You got certain people blowing smoke in your ear. Did you lose your focus? Is it hard not to?
No, I didn't lose. It is hard, but you got to have the experienced people around you to keep you going in the right direction. This is the key. I had the right people around me. Slim was on me.
Slim
every
Jim
day.
Robinson.
Slim motto was give me him now and you can have him later. Like all the partiers,
Yeah.
his wife, the girlfriends, give the boxer to me now and you can have him afterwards. So he wouldn't let us go outside the camp. He would watch us. He would make sure. So this is what Andy Ruiz, and I'm surprised that he even admitted. That makes me feel bad because there's other boxers want that opportunity to come in and fight. Here it is. He has an opportunity to be a great boxer, make a lot of money, and he comes in. Then he admits that he was partying. That's like some type some type of circus, and that made me feel kind of like, wow, man. What
Tim.
about them other guys, Dylan White,
Yeah.
guys from America, all these other heavyweights that would like the opportunity? That made me feel kind of like that was a sad thing to think of.
Tim,
You know?
you're going to give me an overhand right for saying this, right? Next time you see me. But we're
No.
talking about partying, right? Didn't you test positive for something like a little bit of weed in 1980, just after the Tony Tubbs fight, maybe? The WBA championship
Yeah,
win?
I did. What
Partying?
happened was,
Go on.
yeah, what happened was, my birthday is on December the 27th. I
Yeah,
was fighting Tony Tubbs on the 16th,
yeah,
and they threw a little party on it like on my birthday, the 27th,
yeah,
and I wasn't drinking or anything.
yeah,
I wasn't drinking or anything. We were just sitting there. Slim was there too, but I had stepped outside
yeah,
and they were smoking marijuana and all that. I participated, not thinking that I was going to get in trouble for it. So he was inside of the party,
yeah.
and I just happened to go outside and get some fresher air, and they were out there smoking, and I was like, and I didn't realize that they were going to test me, and I learned my lesson from that. We was that close to the fight,
Yeah.
and it wasn't my temptation. It's just they was just doing it, and I was like, I didn't really know if they was going to test me or anything, And I got bad urine, so I learned my lesson was that they fined me 25,000, took the title. No, not took the title.
No, just
I had to give Tony Tubbs a rematch. So I learned my lesson, and you always have to be on time. You always have to be alert of things around you, and don't get involved with that. I messed up that time.
for sure. That was one expensive toke. I do remember KO magazine had a good headline. It said, "What's a joint like that doing in a champ like you?" But let's move on. Tim,
Yeah.
do you think we've seen the last of Andy Ruiz at the top level now? Do you think he'll fade into the sunset? If he can't get motivated for that, people say, then what on earth can he get motivated for? Or do you think he will take the lesson on board like you did various times in your illustrious career? And do you think he will return, to become a top contender who will still give anybody a tough night when he's on song? What's your take on Andy Ruiz's future?
Well, I think that I've been seeing some of the talent out there. He wouldn't stand with Wilder. Tyson Fury, I'll box him down. Dylan White, to me, he was in the right place at the right time. I think Joshua was doing they said interviews and traveling, and
Yeah.
he overestimated Andy because of the way he looked. This is where experience come in. His people. I'm gonna get to your point. His people should have known that don't underestimate somebody. That's not what was going on. They was thinking he was gonna walk over Andy Ruiz
Yes.
and just knock him out, but that's not true. And his corner, his management team has to be more aware and more experienced about his technical skills, everything. That's very important.
See,
And
this is it, Tim.
this is what's slipping.
Yeah.
They are not watching his skills. They worrying about money. They're worrying about money and building everything. But that little thing is going to stop his legacy from going on. That little skill, that little block and slip, boom, all that is going to stop him from being the greatest he can be. So that's where all the people that's around him. That's where the mistake is going to be. And I reached out to them to try to help them. I even said I'll help them for free. And if you do good, you could look at me then. I was trying to even send messages to some of my English friends, and they were trying to get to them, and they said they didn't need no help. So, and I only did that because I like him, and I know he can be the best he can be with just a little bit more skills.
Who do you think is the best heavyweight in the world right now, then?
Right now.
Yeah. Wilder?
Well, he has all those knockouts, but when he retired, he won't be able to train nobody because all he does is throw the right hand. He really brings none to the table but the right hand.
Do you think Wilder is one of the hardest heavyweight punchers of all time?
Say that again?
Do you think he's one of the hardest punchers in history just with that straight right hand?
He's a harder puncher, but it's just I keep answering my questions a certain way because I can't answer them straight like that because yeah, he punches hard, but I don't think he's the hardest puncher. And there's nobody out there to even give him a test. There's no heavyweight that can give him nothing out there. So
What about Fury? What about Fury? What's your take? These guys are supposed to settle their differences on February 28th in Las Vegas. Sorry, February 22nd in Las Vegas. Some people were skeptical because of the cuts Fury sustained last time out versus Otto Wallin, not to mention his apparent distraction with certain lucrative appearances in the WWE. But it does look like Fury Wilder 2 will occur on February 22nd. Who are you backing, Tim, and how will that affect the whole shake-up at the top?
you know, I always said this about Dante Wilder. Let me say this. I love these guys, and when I say that, when I make give my opinion, maybe it be if it's negative or something like that. I don't mean that I don't like them. I'm just saying these things from a skill point of view. Um, if you take away Wilder's right hand, the fight is over. It's that simple. I don't see how these trainers don't recognize it.
And he's got Mark Breland on board, Tim. He's got Mark Breland in his camp.
I love Mark Breland, and we was in many camps together. Mark is a really nice guy, but he just had the right hand and the jab, and he didn't have a defense. Wilder fights exactly like Mark Breland.
Really? Yeah, that's interesting.
Yes, he jab and he'll kill you with that right hand, and it's like a carbon copy. But you need more than that to really succeed. Now, if they were in our era, I don't think he would. I definitely know he wouldn't have had all those knockouts.
Sure.
I wish I was fighting all the guys he had. They were easy fights, if you ask me. So there's really nobody there to really challenge him. Tyson Fury, Tyson Fury's out there to challenge him. Um, and he knocked all the other guys out. The other guys, all the contenders, and then I'm not down in them either. I didn't really see no really big bad get nobody any boxer giving them any kind of test, really. And you don't know none of their names. So he has all those knockouts with the right hand. But when he was almost tested by
Ortiz and Fury.
Ortiz. Now of Ortiz, yeah. Ortiz, carried him along, and then he made a mistake and got hit with that right hand. But that's all Dante has to offer, and I think his left hook is a little solid too. But his game plan is just right hand, and I just don't see. He needs help too, even though he have all those knockouts, because somebody going to get him.
Okay, let's talk about where Anthony Joshua goes from here. The bookmakers, the remit of this show is that we look and prognosticate on the gambling odds. That's our angle here. The bookmakers are offering certain prices on Anthony Joshua's next opponent. If I can get them up on the screen, I'm going to have a look at them. For Kabrat Pulev, we're talking 2-5. So the favourite, it looks like he's going to fight Kabrat Pulev next, Tim, because that's his IBF mandatory. Okay,
Yeah, I heard it. Yeah.
That's what they're saying. Alexander Usyk, the brilliant Ukrainian southpaw, untested at heavyweight, albeit, is 2-1 to fight Joshua next. He's the WBO mandatory. To see what I think is going to happen to him, more than likely, although I hope not, is that Joshua may vacate that WBO strap in order that Usyk can fight somebody else for the vacant title. I'd hate to see that happen. I mean, I do think the idea that we're moving forward to the notion of an undisputed world heavyweight champion, a little bit like in 1986 when they had the unification tournament that you did feature in, but I do think perhaps Usyk may get a crack at the vacant title. What's your thoughts on that? I mean, would you prefer to see the titles kept together, or do you subscribe to this argument we hear sometimes from insiders that lots of titles is better because it lets more people make money? What's your take?
No, I do believe that. I made that statement before, but that was a different. It had nothing to do with the fight. It had something to do with other boxers making money and stuff like that. But in this case, I think the big fights are Wilder and Tyson Fury, Dylan White. I think that he should go straight into those two. If he want to keep his legacy, far as him being the champ, and undisputed, whatever, he has to go right into fighting them hard fights. But when you're talking about business, Eddie Hearns might or is going to take him in a different direction. But I mean, you got Tyson, like Tyson, he fought everybody. I fought everybody.
Yeah.
Ali fought everybody. We didn't dodge. If that's what you're saying. But yeah, with all those belts, each like you're saying, they every it's giving a different boxers opportunity to take care of their families and make money. But in this case, I think the next fight should be the Fury or the Wilder. And I know that those other guys need to make a living too. But this is when the biggies should get in there. And so Tyson Fury is not high in the WBO.
Yeah, you know what? It's very difficult to keep track of the alphabet soup these
Right.
days, Tim. Listen, I had thought, looking at those odds of who Joshua's going to fight next. At one point, I had thought that Dylan White might be made versus Usyk for the vacant WBO title if Joshua does decide to vacate. But then I looked on the WBO rankings yesterday, and I see Dylan White is not even listed there. Now, I believe he was #1 contender, and then he suddenly got replaced by Usyk. I don't know whether it was after the drug test. Situation when Dylan was in limbo for several months after testing positive, according to UCAD, with his A sample for metabolites of Dianabol. He's since been vindicated. He's been cleared. Basically, UCAD have admit they messed up, and the sample must have been contaminated. Appears to be the crux of what they're saying. Dylan got cleared the day before he appeared on the undercard versus Marius Vec out in Saudi Arabia. So it's very hard for me to keep track of it all, Tim. I agree with you that it'd be good if we could see the big guns settle this now. I don't think, let's suppose Fury and Wilder do have their rematch February 22nd, as seems to be reasonably solid at this stage, and the winner fights Anthony Joshua. I don't think there's a person on the planet who's going to argue that the winner of the fight between Joshua and the Fury-Wilder rematch winner is the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world, right?
Right. Those are the three top guys. Those are the three top guys right now, and that's what should happen. Those three guys should fight it out, and we'll find out who's the undisputed. I think that Dylan White in his little layoff, because I think he had a really good chance. I like the way he fight. I like his aggressiveness. I do think that he needed to tighten up his defense a little bit more because he got dropped. He got dropped on when he fought
Parker, Joseph Parker.
And Joshua. Then Joshua.
Yeah.
So
Joshua stopped him. It was 4 years ago yesterday, I believe. It may have even been 4 years ago today. I see it come up on Facebook memories. Joshua and White fought in 2015, very close to this time of year.
Yeah, but these little things that help the boxer or whatever champ or whatever go forward are needed today. These little things, it may be 3 or 4. We're not talking about 20. We're talking about 3 or 4 things that Joshua, Wilder, Tyson Fury, Dylan White, just a couple of things they need just to get them over that hump. It's not a whole lot. Joshua don't need a whole lot. He just needs a couple more things that's going to help him get over the hump. And by him not learning or being taught these things is causing this kind of feedback, this negative feedback. Me as a boxer, when I see him get in the ring, I don't really see nothing exciting. His body is in good shape. He's a very nice young man. But when the bell ring and you see the skills, the build up and everything to the fight, beautiful. He's in shape. But as soon as the bell ring, I just lay back and just look and say, wow. That's where what gets me like, wow, he can do a lot more better than that. He can do a way lot better than that. And Eddie Hearns needs to wake up and just get somebody there to help.
Tim, on that note, it's been wonderful having you in the studio today, champ. I do look forward to your next return to these shores. It's long overdue. Thank you for joining me and giving the wisdom and insight that can only be provided by such a former champion like yourself, who is a scholar of the game. Thank you very much, Tim, and I will talk to you very soon.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody.
Okay, before we take a look ahead to the big one at Madison Square Garden this weekend, if anybody fancies an accumulator on Saturday night at the York Hall in Bethnal Green. The next instalment of the fine golden contract format, this time the light heavyweights, takes place. As luck would have it, I managed to predict 4 semi-finalists from the recent light welterweight tournament. I'm going to have another go again at this. Now, let's have a look. I'm going to give you 4 advancing semi-finalists like I did last time. I know we had the grey area last time whereby Ofori didn't actually win the fight, but he advanced to the semi-final basically on the referee's casting vote or whatever it may have been. But I'm going to give you 4 names right now and an accumulator that will pay off if you follow the advice. And it comes in. Okay. I'm saying Andre Sterling beats Liam Conroy to advance to the semi-final. I'm saying Bob Ajisafi beats the favourite, Jose Alberton, to advance to the same. I'm saying Serge Michael comes out on top versus Tommy Philbin. And I'm saying Stephen Ward overcomes Richard Bolotniks. Okay? Now that one, it pays you a rate of something like 7.7 to 1, which isn't bad considering most of them are favourites going in there. Okay? Let me see what the return would be for a tenner. Okay, as you can see, £10 gets you £87.38 return. Don't say I ever give you anything. Now moving on. I'm trying to put the glasses away and I see they're going into the wrong pocket where I've got the earpiece microphone. This is a slightly new medium for me because I'm talking on my own now. This is the first time I don't have a former 2-time world heavyweight champion on the phone. I don't have Spencer Fear and Barry Jones or even my mate John sitting next to me. So this is new territory. It's a bit like Facebook Live, only I can't see anything coming back at me. Richard Commey, IBF lightweight champion, takes on the Hispanic sensation Teofimo Lopez on Saturday night at Madison Square Garden. It's a mouth-watering fight, and it's one that is supposed to be the coronation and the coming of age for the young sensation who is Ricardo Lopez. But have the bookies got it wrong on this occasion? If we look at the prices, you can see Lopez is a favourite with Bet365 at 2 to 5. He's 3 to 1 to win inside the distance, and he evens to win by decision. The draw is 25 to 1. Commey is a decent, very live outsider at 2 to 1. To win by KO, he's 3 to 1. And to win by decision, he's a whopping 5 to 1. I've got to be honest with you, I really do fancy the 5 to 1 on Commey on points. I was thinking about this as I was watching their last fights, Commey against Raimundo Beltran back in the summer. And I watched Lopez's last 2 fights, last time out against the Japanese fighter Nakatini, and also his impressive stoppage in 5 rounds of Edith Tatler. I like the look of Lopez. He's not just a puncher. He's had a few explosive KOs and he's been billed as that kind of KO sensation. But he's actually also a very good boxer who's got a lot of nice moves. He favours a kind of Floyd Mayweather-esque defence. I almost wish I had Tim Witherspoon still on the line for this one because Tim would tell you all about the so-called shoulder roll. It's become known as in the Floyd Mayweather era. People used to call it the Philly shell, and it has its lineage going back to the days of like George Benton, Archie Moore, latterly Ken Norton. Tim Witherspoon did it about as well as anybody. But Lopez uses that defence where you've got the chin tucked into the shoulder and that kind of stance. And, you know, he uses that sit down and push away like he's probably seen Floyd Mayweather do. And he is a very useful boxer. Commey is a extremely capable boxer, fantastic combination puncher. With like most Africans, he has a very good engine. He throws a lot of punches. I first saw Commey when he came to these shores to fight Gary Buckland, and I believe at the time he had a 100% knockout ratio after 21 wins. And I was under the impression he must be a devastating puncher in that kind of Julian Jackson mould. And Steve Goodwin, who was actually on a forerunner of FightLine back at Tip TV, also run by the wonderful company that evolved into Core London. And on the show that particular weekend, he said to me, Richard Commey is not a devastating one-punch hitter. What he is, he has a big accumulation of punches, and that's why he's managed to get every opponent out of there up to now. He had the 2 back-to-back losses, Commey, a couple of years ago. He's coming off some impressive performances. He is the IBF lightweight champion. By the way, a little aside, listen up because this is complicated. If you can get your head around this kind of absurd stupidity, I hear today that Devin Haney, who was upgraded to full WBC champion, while Vasyl Lomachenko, the genuine lightweight champion of the world, regardless of any sanctioning body decrees, is the franchise champion. Devin Haney is apparently now injured since his last time out on that KSI Logan Paul undercard, and he is now the champion in recess. And I hear that Luke Campbell and another fighter whose name escapes me currently are going to fight for the regular title while Haney is the champion in recess. This is absolute madness, and it really has to stop, although I can't see any particular end to this naked greed and cynicism anytime soon. Getting back to it, I think I really want to tip Commey 5-1 on points. I do think the fight will go the distance. There's another price for anybody who fancies it of 4-7 for the fight to go the distance with Sky Bets as well. I think that it's something which I definitely fancy it to go the distance, and I think it will be a relatively close fight. The problem is you have to look at the politics in boxing and the leverage and the star power of one guy over another. I don't think there's a lot of question. Although Commey is the defending champion, the A side on Saturday night in that famous building will be Teofimo Lopez, a highly marketable young man who's, I believe he's 21 or 22 at the outside, and is being tipped to have a great boxing future and one day to be a viable rival to the king, Vasily Lomachenko, at 135. I think the price on Lopez evens at 1-1 with Sky Bet. I haven't looked at what the other firms are offering, but I imagine that they are equitable. This is, I'm torn. I'm honestly torn. I think it will be a close fight. It'll go the distance, and I think if anybody gets a squeeze on the cards, I think it will be Lopez. I'm not ruling out a stoppage from either man. I've wrestled with my conscience on the way here today, on the tube, on London Transport. Fuck it. I'm going to pick Commey for the value. I'm going to pick Commey to spring an upset and retain on points at 5-1. Don't say I never give you anything. Thank you for watching. Don't forget our wonderful sponsors, Buy My Fight and Westbound Logistics Services. In the meantime, be lucky and keep punching.